Αξιότιμη κύριε Γενική
Secretary General, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, dear speakers, on behalf of ASHRAE, the Hellenic chapter thereof, I would like to welcome you to the first international conference we're hosting in cooperation with the Technical Chamber of Greece. I'm Dimitris Mantas. It's an honor and a pleasure for me to be the president of the Hellenic chapter. It is a great pleasure for us all to see you. And after all, it turns out, and it's obvious, that our efforts, which we have been exerting for quite some time, were warmly received, and there's proof in your presence of that. I would also like to warmly welcome and thank all speakers, and especially the dear colleagues who have flown in from abroad. In recent years, the Hellenic chapter of ASHRAE has opened up and embraced the wider community of mechanics and engineers beyond the strict confines of electromechanical facilities and infrastructure. And it is along those lines that we've decided to broaden the scope of events we host along with the themes we are interested in. So we are actually interested in subjects that are beyond the confines of the traditional basic elements and subjects that ASHRAE normally tackles. This is in line with ASHRAE international activities. This is a normal development that makes sense, especially today, due to the technological progress that has been made and due to the fact that facilities and buildings requirements have increased. And now there is close cooperation more than ever before. Such cooperation is needed, after all, amongst all parties and stakeholders involved in construction, building, throughout the making of any facility. At this point, allow me to briefly touch on ASHRAE. It was launched in the United States in 1894. It was a building construction technology, mechanics and engineers association. They all aimed at promoting and upgrading technology in the field of heating, ventilation, cooling, and air conditioning. As time went by, ASHRAE's prestige increased, and now it has been and still is a point of reference when it comes to studies and surveys drafted on buildings. Today, ASHRAE members are over 53,000. They span 130 countries, and there are 176 chapters thereof around the globe. ASHRAE remains active in the fields that have always been of interest to it, including research and technology, big research and technology for that matter. ASHRAE is always involved in the drafting of regulations, standards, and technical directives. I'm sure that you've actually witnessed that for yourselves, and I'm also certain that you've been following up on activities undertaken by ASHRAE and the Hellenic chapter's activities for the past 13 years. Which brings me to the Hellenic chapter that was set up back in 1999 upon an initiative and thanks to mainly the care of Dr. Palaras, who is a mechanical engineer and who is currently the vice president of ASHRAE. He was assisted in this effort by many colleagues of ours who have helped on a voluntary basis the Hellenic chapter so as for it to remain active within the Greek borders but also abroad. As concerns the Greek reality, in recent years there's been a great effort with a view to our country following up on developments when it comes to saving energy, using new materials that are more eco-friendly. We've also exerted a great effort in terms of promoting relevant techniques, plans, and setting in place certification and standardization with a view to primarily protecting the environment. The role of the members of the Technical Chamber of Greece and the members of ASHRAE in this huge effort that has been undertaken in recent years in the framework of new regulations is just one small indication of the great scope there is in the hands of Greek mechanics and engineers. In the past 2 or 3 years, nonetheless, we have to acknowledge that at long last all mechanics and engineers have come to realize that it's not just important to be theoretically consistent vis-à-vis all known principles and values, but now it is more than ever before imperative that all those certifications, rules, and regulations be be implemented with tangible results. One might also say that there was a time that when we used to talk about bioclimatic design, and back then we were hinting at the fact that possibly bioclimatic design had nothing to do with us or was not something that we were up to. We used to hint that bioclimatic design concerned other countries, but now it's become apparent, and especially in recent events we've hosted, that we are all interested in this field and there's growth scope for everyone. We have, among others, organized events and day seminars touching on voluntary protocols for assessing and evaluating technical projects such as LEED. We also hosted an event with a view to getting our members acknowledged or getting our members to know how they could use effectively energy in buildings. We've, for example, discussed 90.1 and 189.1. They respectively concern energy reference regulations for tertiary sector buildings and high performance green buildings planning. And we've also had meetings hosted on commissioning. In the past year, it was a great pleasure for us to indeed view that our members have increased, and now we have young students attend our events as well. Mr. Dimitris Papadaniel, a member of ASHRAE Hellenic chapter, came up with the idea of hosting this international event. Right after me, he's going to discuss the idea and also elaborate on the main objectives of hosting this event. At this point, I would like to warmly thank the President of the Technical Chamber of Greece, Mr. Spirtsis, for the Technical Chamber of Greece has been really helpful in this effort of ours, and there is great scope and prospects for cooperation with the Technical Chamber and the Hellenic chapter between us, the Hellenic chapter of ASHRAE, when it comes to implementing standards and technical directives by ASHRAE in Greek practices. We are, as of 2011, partners with the Technical Chamber of Greece. So we have ASHRAE Associate Society Alliance. On behalf of the Hellenic chapter, I'd also like to warmly thank the Embassy of Switzerland for their support in terms of bringing this event together. Let me also, on that note, thank all of our sponsors who are right outside this hall, and hopefully you will get time during the breaks and you will have a chance to visit their kiosks. I'd also like, on that occasion, to thank all our sponsors who, for the past 13 years, have been supportive of our efforts. Let me underscore the fact that all our events and meetings are always open to everyone. There is no fee to be paid, so everyone is welcome, thanks to the assistance of our sponsors, as always. A great thanks goes, rightfully, to all the members of the Hellenic chapter of ASHRAE, because they've actually been involved in hosting this event on a personal and mostly voluntary basis. Let me thank them for making this possible, and let me thank everyone for hosting all the events throughout the year 2012. In particular, let me thank our colleague Mr. Haralabopoulos, who was in charge of bringing this particular event together. And on that note, allow me to invite you to ASHRAE. Join the Hellenic chapter, for it's been really active in all international developments. It's always been there with a view to representing Greece despite the tough economic junction that the country is at. It is for that particular purpose that I'd like to insist on that point, on the fact that indeed the Hellenic chapter is making everything it can to make sure that all of our members and dear colleagues have access to whatever is happening abroad. We are always here to inform you on just about everything that concerns ASHRAE. And of course, we're looking forward to your involvement and cooperation. On a last note, allow me to also inform you about the fact that you can be involved in ASHRAE's research program. All efforts, offers, and contributions are always welcome when it comes to us proceeding with our research activities. ASHRAE is yet another pioneer in this sector because it's one of a handful of professional societies that conduct their own independent investigation and research. Every year, ASHRAE invests more than $2 million. Today, more than 60 research projects are currently underway, the overall worth of which is about 13.4 million. This type of research is there to mainly assist and help technological progress and knowledge, the sort of know-how we use and we always implement on a daily basis in our work. Of course, my colleagues who are right outside at the reception desk and also at the exhibition hall are here to provide you with more information and data should you be interested in receiving more. But before we give the floor to the speaker, please allow me to remind you that we have to stick to a very tight schedule. Please remember to turn off your cell phones. And let me also inform you about the fact that all speeches delivered in Greek in this hall, Pascal, will be interpreted into English. And on that note, allow me to welcome you once more and let me give the floor to Mr. Papadani.